Hey everyone, welcome back to the watercolor for the non-artistic card maker. It's Justine. Today we're going to focus on zig markers. Those are the real brush clean color markers that were all the rage this year, and I'm focusing on that today for my watercolor techniques. I particularly like using them for florals. Remember, I plan on doing monthly classes similar to this one, not always on watercolor, but on different themes. And if you'd like to say thank you and see more classes, please share this video. There's a share button just down below. Help spread the word about my videos, and if there's a lot of engagement, I'll definitely be having these classes more often and potentially even monthly. I'm going to start off by just tracing this Simon Says Stamp stitched rectangle die 3 times on my paper. I'm going to have 3 flowers embossed inside of these rectangles, and I just need to know where these rectangles are going to be. It also helps me attach my die properly to my card. After I'm finished doing that, I'm going to get out my Big Shot tools. Now, I'm going to use a rubber mat, and so what this is for embossing, and you'll see it on your Big Shot here. You need the cutting pad, or like the platform, you need a cutting pad, your paper, the die, a rubber mat, and then another cutting board. So I hope that makes sense. You can also just check your platform or check what is appropriate for your machine depending on what you're using. But this rubber mat, what it does is it ends up embossing your die instead of letting your die cut it out. It is actually a really great tool to have in your collection, and it's a technique that is often forgot about. You're going to do this 3 times over those traced areas that we did in the beginning, and then you'll get a really nice embossed stitched look onto a piece of cardstock. I cut down my cardstock so that it would actually just fit slightly around the frames there, but you can keep it as a 1-layer card if you'd like, which was my original plan. But because my lines weren't super straight, I ended up cutting it down a little bit so you wouldn't notice as much. Alright, so I thought I would mask off the area, but my flowers ended up being small enough anyway. So I'm using the miniature floral set from Clearly Besotted Stamps. And I am going to just stamp 3 of these flowers. I just wanted to say thank you and a quick shout out to Debbie Hughes, who inspired this card. She had done something similar. I believe if I remember correctly, from seeing it, she die cut those 3 rectangles and stamped these flowers. I'm not exactly sure if she used zig markers or anything like that. I just remember seeing the card and falling in love with it, and then thinking I wanted to make it myself or something similar to it using this awesome stamp set. Now I'm just going to emboss this in Versamark ink. So I stamped it in Versamark ink using my stamping press. Then I just covered those areas with white embossing powder, and then I'm just going to heat that up and melt the flowers there. Okay, so I'm going to use the zig markers now, and I am just going to speed things up quite a bit. Again, I have the 12 pack, so anything found in the 12 pack I am using in this card. I'm just putting, you can see, just very little color and then going in with a very thin brush and spreading it out. It's quite easy, and it has a very dramatic effect against the white embossing. The embossing also helps you sort of stay in the lines and not get that super saturated watercolor look where it all spreads out of the lines, which I really, really like. You can see I'm using some multiple colors as well, so you can blend them by coloring 2 different colors. So I can color a darker color in the middle, a little bit of lighter color on the outside, and then blend them all together nicely. But as you can see, these colors are more than enough. You get so many different shades depending on how much color and how much water you add, that I find the 12 pack absolutely perfect for what my needs are. And I don't do a ton of watercoloring on my cards. So again, the 12 pack, as I mentioned in the introduction video to this class, is more than enough for me, but other people have other needs, I realize. I'm just going over, I just put some gray lines along the ends of the flowers, and I'm just blending those out. I'm just creating sort of a background so the white embossing really just stands out, and I want that gray to sort of cover the rectangular area within the stitched die. Now that I'm done watercoloring those, my plan was originally to have a gray panel sort of with just gray sticking out of the top and the bottom, and then nothing on the sides, and having that going across. But I realized because I cut down my watercolor panel here, it actually doesn't fit across an A2 card, so like a 5.5 by 4.25. So what I needed to do was I just cut those and trimmed those edges off because that was a mistake, and I just attached that to a bigger piece of gray cardstock. This is from Simon Says Stamp. Again, all the supplies are listed below if you need anything. This also gave me a lot of stability to my watercolor. Watercolors can warp, and this definitely did warp. I left it overnight inside of a book to sort of flatten it out, and it did flatten out, but I think if I were to attach this directly to my card base, it would probably warp my card base eventually. So it was really great to attach this to 2 pieces of thick cardstock before attaching it to my card. So my card base measures 5.5 by 4.25, and it is perfect for what I needed here. I'm just going to simply add an embellishment here for the final touch. Alright, so I'm attaching just some baker's twine here. I believe this is from Close to My Heart, but you can get this pretty much anywhere. Just wanted to mention that there is a PDF file download, so don't forget, by clicking on my blog link down below, there's a PDF download for this card as well as the card that I created, a second card for this class. So be sure to check out my blog for that, as well as the supply list for all the supplies used. This is a final look at my card here with the bow that I sort of fixed up. I didn't bother putting a sentiment because I thought it looked pretty the way it is. So all the supplies used are linked to below in the video description or on my blog. Here's a final look at the card we created today. You can really see that stitched die coming out there. You can click up at the top to visit my blog, supply list, and download the PDF file. You can click on the right to subscribe to my channel, or you can click on the picture of watercolor backgrounds to be taken to yesterday's class. Thanks so much for watching, everyone, and for your support. Don't forget to share. Bye-bye.